Obviously, we've got a little bit of internet connection issues at this moment in time. Looks like it's my end, so this should make it a little bit fun in terms of streaming. But it is just me tonight as we wind up and get ready to start the race tonight. Tonight, of course, we are in Hungary for round 11 of the TTL Championship. And as you can see, everyone goes down to red for me. Oh, this is going to be fun. This is going to be very fun. I don't know how this is going to turn out on the stream, but we shall see. Hopefully everybody comes back. Oh yes, they do come back up very gradually. Okay, so it's not ideal, my internet. It never has been and probably never will be. But it's an interesting stream here that, well, should be a little bit of fun. I'm not too sure. But there we go. So anyway, we're going to carry on, and if we get booted, we get booted. If anything bad happens, you'll see it live on the stream. So we will see what happens there. So of course, welcome along to the Hungarian Grand Prix here in TTL. And this week I'll be doing the Hungarian Grand Prix and the Belgian Grand Prix. And this week I'm not sure if David's joining me this or at least on Thursday. He should be joining me on Thursday. I hope he is. Good to have in the commentary box. Just me tonight, so you'll just have to put up with my my voice and my style of commentary all night. So I hope you find that fun. I hope that's good for you. And with this internet connection, we should be in for a very, very good good race. So if the cars start flying all over the place, then that's my connection. Anyway, once I get my phone up, we can get through the driver standing. So at the top of the table, we have Darren Sinclair on 176 points, Blizzard in second on 132, Lambo in third on 124, Troy is in fourth on 113. We have Siege in fifth on 72, Spike in sixth on 66. Squeezy Lemon is 7th on 45, The Gort is in 8th on 41 points, Maze is in 9th on 30 points, Weed Nation is in 10th on 25 points. Moving on to the second half of the table, Lighty is also in 10th on 25 points, Frank is in 12th on 24 points, Valpy 13th on 23 points, Steph in 14th on 22, very close in that midfield, Crazy Legs 15th on 20 points, Poe is in 16th on 18 points, Ollie is in 17th on 16 points, Fletcher is in 18th on 15 points, Humbug 19th on 8 points, Alan K in 20th on 6 points, Plaster in 21st on 3 points, Pazels and Sean both in 22nd on 2 points. Quickly onto the constructors table, Haas at the top on 221, Sauber second 146, Force India third 142, Williams in fourth on 132, McLaren in fifth on 120, Mercedes sixth on 71, Red Bull in seventh on 69, Ferrari 8th on 60 points, Renault in 9th on 28 points, Toro Rosso at the bottom of the table with 19 points. And the Hungaro ring then, 14 corners around this track, often called the Monaco without the barriers circuit, and well, it's not far wrong with that, with not many overtaking points, tight sections of the track, and walls that you can see as far around the track as possible. Hello Z3, I know you're racing tonight, hope you have a good qualifying out there. And we'll skip that, otherwise we'll get copy striked. Yeah, as I was saying, 14 corners. We've got 2 DRS zones, one along that long start-finish straight, and then a second zone, slightly smaller zone, heading out of turn 1, heading all the way down into turn 2. Your best chances of overtaking, well, turn 1 are a definite, try and overtake down that inside there. You'll find that maybe sticking to the outside is the best option here, as the track cambers away from you, and that can promote oversteer if you try and take the inside line. Heading into turn 2 as well, you might try and move down the inside there, but it's not advised as the track is not really cambered towards overtaking. It is possible, but if you have that outside line, it helps you into turn 3 and defending that position. Other than that though, turn 12 seems to be a good overtaking opportunity, where Kimi Raikkonen tried it in the 2017 race, and maybe that's about it really. any other place is an unorthodox place to overtake. So we shall see how we go here as loads of cars heading out onto the circuit. We have, of course, the live weather for today, and qualifying is going to be partly sunny and the rain is on its way. So yeah, we're expecting a little bit of rain towards the end of this session, and that is why everyone's heading out onto the circuit right now. In terms of the race, well, for around about 2/3 of the race, of course, we work in 3 blocks for the race, 2 blocks in qualifying. So it is meant to rain. Oh, that's Squeezy running off the track there. That is coming through at turn 5, I believe. Very easy to drop the back end there, as you maybe have too much of a heavy right foot coming out of that corner. Very, very easy to do, especially when you're under a pressure situation. So we have, obviously, yeah, like I was saying, we have 2 blocks for qualifying. So it goes from partly sunny to rain, and then in the race 3 blocks, which is partly sunny, partly cloudy, onto rain. So that rain is slowly going to creep up towards the end of the race today. Should make it interesting for these 35 laps then. Lambo here has a grid penalty here for a collision with Technique Gaming. Now, of course, Technique was Valpy. That's Valpy's new account, so it's not a new driver. It is just Valpy. Temptation to call his Valpy is a little bit real, but no, we'll call him Technique for this one, as we will Ollie instead of Raikkonen. So Weed Nation then in the Ferrari looks like he's going to be the first one to set a lap around the Hungaroring as we head down towards turn 2. Obviously very easy to lock up into turn 2. You'll see what I mean as the track sort of cambers away from you. It favours that outside line, especially in an overtaking zone then, as we head up the hill towards turn 4 here. Chuck the car in and hope it sticks. You can get away with a little bit of curb on that right hand side there. Heading into turn 5, and your apex of this corner is all the more important. Pazels has retired from the session then, and he's out. He's hit the wall. Is that coming out of turn 5? No, it's not. That is coming out of turn 11. So he's hit the curb there and gone off, and he's out of qualifying. And Weed Nation then coming up to that zone now then. Coming out of turn 11, down the hill now towards turn 12. Very easy to lock up here as well as you try and attack turn 12 with as much as possible. The track will start to cool now with all the clouds gathering in the sky. Turn 13 then, very easy to spin the wheels up there. And then turn 14, the apex, you really want to get on that accelerator as soon as possible, but patience rewards you. And Weed Nation comes across the line to set a 1:19.2, but it didn't count towards any lap time here. Alan Kay though, 1:19.9 as we see Traw, 1:18.8. Darren Sinclair set it at 1:17.7. Incredible stuff. As Squeezy there, 1:19.0. Spike heads towards the line. That's a 1:18.3, but the lap did not count. Blizzard, 1:17.1 from Blizzard. Oh, we see a Renner there get a little bit out of shape as he comes towards the line. I think that was Steph. It was indeed Steph who... not sure who that was behind him. I think it was Maze. Matt had to take a little bit of evasive action there. Here, heading back to the pits then. So Weed Nation has to go again. Spike also having to go again. We've got Crazy Legs coming towards the line. He sets the 1:18.6, and that puts him up into P5 in this race. Or in this qualifying session, I should say. Z3 heading around the final corner. What can he do then as he heads towards the line? It's a 1:18.6, and that puts him into P6. Poe heading around now as he's got to fight through the traffic, and there's the rain falling now. The rain is falling. Oh, that's Poe into the barriers there as he spun up those tyres heading out of turn 5. Like I said, it was very, very easy to do. He's lost his entire front wing, and Squeezy Lemon is also out of qualifying there. He does not like these conditions as we have a look here to see Light E and Traw qualified on soft tyres, so that may be a good call from them. Spike here now heading towards the line. He goes P3, 1:17.8 from Spike there. Weed Nation meanwhile set a 1:18.3 to put himself up into P5. How about Lambo? He's going to head around the final corner. Has he left this too late here? Oh, it's going to be close. That track is going to get wetter and wetter as the lap goes on, and that is not ideal. That's not what he wanted. Siege as well has only just come out of the pits. Oh, a disaster. That could come back to bite him here as he looks to try and get this lap time in as soon as possible. So at the moment then, Blizzard out on top, 117.1. Darren Sinclair retired from the session on a 117.7. Spike 117.8. Technic Gaming 118.0 as Weed Nation in 5th there. Now Ollie has retired from the session. He pulls over. He can't go any quicker, and at the moment he's P15. Plaster doing exactly the same thing. They realise they can't get that lap time in. Siege is only just heading on to a lap now. Oh, this is going to be very tough in these conditions. Lambo here as well is just maybe cruising, wanting to get a lap on the board, I think, at this point, and hoping that it's quicker than Lambo's lap time as we see him cruise around here. What about Siege then? He's heading down towards turn 3 here, and you can see here how much he's had to back off at this moment in time as he now heads towards turn 5 here. You can see that little bit of lag on my end is starting to kick in. It should go away in a moment or two. It's just a temporary thing, and we should be back to normal very, very shortly. So meanwhile then, with 5 minutes to go, everybody is pretty much in. Lambo there, 127.8, but the lap didn't count. And Steph here, there you go, DRS disabled. Steph there might be trying to go on a set of intermediate tyres, or is he just teasing us there, I wonder? Maybe, as Siege here trying to tiptoe his way around the circuit on a set of soft tyres. And, well, intermediates are not going to be anywhere near the 120s in these conditions. They're looking at the 124s almost, maybe even slower than that. So that is going to be a real sore thing for Siege to take there. And he comes into the pits then, and that is Siege. Maybe he's going to go on a set of intermediate tyres just to try them. Lambo here as well, trying to push hard. And I wonder now if Lambo is going to set a lap time on a set of dry tyres here. And look at that, it is treacherous out there now. You do not want to be on those tyres at the moment. Spike maybe thinking about the intermediate tyres as well, as Lambo gets a big slide going through turn 10 there, and then again through turn 11, as many of the drivers think that it's just not worth running in this session. Of course, there is rain later on in the race, so maybe getting some intermediate running is not a bad idea, as that's what Steph's thinking here as he heads through the turn 6-7 chicane here. Maybe that's what he's thinking. And anyway, Lambo heading around that final corner very, very cautiously here. He just wants to set a lap time at the moment and put himself ahead of Siege. And he comes across the line, and that is the difference. 136.8. As maybe he'll now head towards the pits, maybe put on a set of intermediate tyres because he will be quicker. No, he drives straight on and retires from the session. So then Siege is doing exactly what I thought. He's going to put on a set of intermediate tyres, and he has a 136.8 to beat to get P17, but that is not at all what he wanted here. Spike, meanwhile, is up in P3. Obviously we're not going to see any faster times being set, but what we are going to see is Steph and Spike do a couple of laps on some intermediate tyres, so we're not completely bored until the end of qualifying. Now Spike has admitted that he hasn't had the best season so far, currently 6th place on 66 points, but qualifying in 3rd place will be a good thing for his confidence here, as he's trying to drift through all the corners, I think, just having a little bit of fun out there, and why not? There's no risk to the lap times here. Steph thinking exactly the same thing. Coming on to Siege then, riding on board with him now, currently 5th in the championship and currently 18th in this qualifying session. This is not at all what he wanted, and he'll be hoping to try and beat Lambo's time of 136.8. We'll have to see how he goes then, as Spike then has his fun, and that's him done for the day then, I think, heading back to the pits. Steph, meanwhile, is still out there, and I think he's just putting some intermediate lap times in because he just wants to, and why not? There's no threat to position, front or back. So you might as well treat this last few minutes as a little bit of a practice session, and it also gives us a car to look at whilst they're out on track. Meanwhile, Siege is going to be on a flying lap right here, as there's now only 2 drivers left in this qualifying session. That is Steph and Siege, and you can see there Steph heading around the final corner, and will he know about Siege right behind him, I wonder? Siege is going to be on a flying lap here, trying to push that car to its limit. to try and get the best lap time possible. So here he comes in across the start-finish line. Looks like he might have 2 chances at trying to beat Lambo here if he needs them. And heading down towards turn 1. And what gear is he in? I think he's in second there. No, third. Third to try and get him that little bit of torque coming down the hill there. A little bit risky to do with the amount of oversteer you can get on those intermediate tyres. But heading through turn 3 now. And then sliding through turn 4. And then up the hill now towards turn 5. And what is his sector time like? 31.0. Now I have no idea what that means. If only there was some sort of graphic here that we could have that shows what the position is to the car in front. And you'll have to apologise for my microphone. It might do that if it affected you on your end. It is coming to the end of its life, unfortunately, but what can you do? It's a very cheap one. So here we now come now with Siege through turn 9. And then through turn 10, I believe. And, turn 11. As we head now down the hill towards turn 12. Technique Gaming says good evening. Good evening, Technique. 4th place on the grid. It doesn't seem too bad for you, as we have 20 seconds on the clock then. Siege heading around turn 13, heading towards turn 14 and the start-finish line now. And can he beat Lambo's 1:36.8? I think he can here. Heading towards that line now. And it is a 1:30.3, so that is Siege up into P17 and making the best of a bad situation, I'd say, as everyone has qualified them. So Blizzard takes pole position for the Hungarian Grand Prix. 20 drives in 30 seconds. Let's do it. Blizzard first, Darren Sinclair second, Spike in third, Technique Gaming fourth, Weed Nation fifth, The Gort is in sixth, Crazy Legs in seventh, Z3 eighth, Light E ninth, Trot is in 10th, Maze 11th, Squeeze 11 12th, Steph in 13th, Alan K 14th, Ollie in 15th, Blaster 16th, Siege in 17th, Lambo 18th, and Pazels and Poe did not get to set a lap time. Be wary of Light E and Trot then. They will be starting on a set of used soft tyres. Be interesting to see what the field do from 11th downwards. That's qualifying done, and we'll go on to the race in a short moment. Of course, we have our formation lap, so we can talk about a couple of the drivers then. And if you have any questions, of course, guys, try and leave them in the comment section, and I will try and get to them if I can. Of course, it's going to be a very busy race, I think. I believe it's 35 laps around the Hungaroring, and it is. We're looking at a race distance of around about 154 kilometres, maybe 155 kilometres. The lap record here was a 1:19.0 set by Michael Schumacher in 2004, and already in qualifying with that a 1:17.1. So that just shows you how quick these cars are around this circuit and how quick the front runners are going to be. We first had the Hungarian Grand Prix in 1986 at the Hungaroring, and to be fair, not much has changed to the track. A couple of chicanes here and there have been tightened to slow the track down, obviously through safety reasons. And we've had some good battlings here in the past, and we'll have to see if we had some good battlings here today. The formation lap is underway very, very shortly. So, the formation lap is underway then, and Blizzard will lead the field around in his traditional stance, where he takes the formation lap very, very slowly. So obviously the top 8 here, well the top 10, had to start on the tyres they qualified on, obviously. From Maze downwards, it gets interesting. Maze, Squeezy Lemon are starting on some medium tyres. Steph is starting on soft tyres. Alan K is on mediums. Ollie is on a set of soft tyres. Plaster starting on some mediums. Siege, interestingly, trying to fight his way through the field. He's starting on a set of super softs. Pazels on a set of soft tyres. Poe on a set of mediums. And Lambo at the back of the grid, of course, with that 5-place grid penalty, is starting on a set of medium tyres. So, very, very interesting then. I wonder how this race is going to pan out. A lot of that, especially Lambo and Siege, will be trying to battle their way through the field today. Don't forget about Ollie, of course. He's been in good form recently. Spike will be wanting the attention this race, so I'll try and give it to him. He's confident going into Hungary that he can get a result out of this as he flies through now. Darren Sinclair, I believe that is. No, it's not. Who's that at the front of the pack there? No, it's Technic Game. He's got no time for these formation lap shenanigans, and it looks like some of the cars behind him thinking exactly the same thing as they head towards the grid now then. As all the cars line themselves up. Very short formation lap here, as Blizzard trying to get his brakes and temperatures up to scratch here, as he's taking it very, very slowly, and this could be to affect the guys starting at the front of the grid there, as Darren Sinclair just has to phase through technique gaming there as we come onto the grid then. Well, it should be a very interesting race, that is for sure. Lots of strategies going on, especially from 9th downwards. We are looking maybe at a one-stop if you can make it work. We'll have the Hungarian Grand Prix very, very shortly. So then, here we are for the Hungarian Grand Prix. 5 red lights. Round 11 is underway, and what are the starts like? Look at those catapulting starts there. We've got a Mercedes there who did not get off the line at all well, and Blizzard here heading down into turn 1, trying to defend this lead as we head through into turn 1. Contact made with Darren Sinclair. There goes Spike trying to go around the outside into turn 1. There's carnage behind them, and that's Darren Sinclair right on Blizzard's tail there, and that looked to be a little bit of a contact behind them there. Blizzard leading the way though from Darren Sinclair. We've got yellow flags in sector 1. That looks like a little bit of contact there. What happened behind them? The Gort looked like he got caught up in something there. Meanwhile, Lambo trying to fight his way through the field. He has done at the moment. We look behind him now and see what happens behind. Alan Kay running a little bit wide. Z3 is an AI at the moment, and people are literally going to phase through him. Lots of battling here as we see, is that a McLaren trying to go up the inside? It was indeed, but Weed Nation also having trouble as well. He's ghosted as well. He's falling through the field now. Well, at the front of the pack then, Darren Sinclair is still trying to put pressure on Blizzard here as we head down towards turn 12. And Blizzard leading then, Darren Sinclair second, Spike currently in third place. Technic Gaming holding on to fourth place. Crazy Legs in fifth. Light T moving up to sixth place on that start. Mace though, incredible start from him on those medium tyres. He's up into seventh place at the moment. Steph in eighth, Ollie ninth, as Troy in 10th there. We see a little bit of battling here between Squeezy and Poe there as we head around turn 14. We've got a load of cars into the pits, then Troy is into the pits, as well as Lambo, Weed Nation and Poe all coming into the pits on lap 1 then, presumably to repair some damage. Battling for the lead then here in TTL, and the Gort has retired from the session. We'll have a look in a minute. Darren Sinclair getting very close to the back of Blizzard then. The Gort retiring in the pits then. He's had enough for today. He retires in the pit lane. Siege then trying to go on teammate Ollie here, and Siege on some super soft tyres against Ollie on a set of soft tyres, and we'll see coming into the chicane here if there are going to be team orders. Doesn't look like it right now. Yellow flag sector 1. And I wonder who that is out there. And that looked like it was Lambo there for a second. I'm not quite sure though. But here we are then, riding again on board with Siege then as we head down towards turn 12. Is this going to be a move then for Siege? No, he backs out of it, thinks twice about it, and no, not quite then, as we head now into turn 13. Heading now towards turn 14, and Siege is still trying to find that way around that McLaren maze. Has run a little bit wide there. That could be an opportunity for Ollie to get into the slipstream here. As we head on to lap 3, then DRS has been enabled. We have a look at Darren Sinclair and Blizzard battling for the lead of this Grand Prix. Blizzard really under threat here from Darren Sinclair as they head towards turn 3. And Blizzard here trying to keep that inside line. Darren Sinclair tried the outside line, didn't quite work there. And Blizzard holds on for now. And that it looks like Ollie there and Siege still trying to battle for position. Darren Sinclair stays behind for now, and meanwhile the two McLarens are battling, and Ollie has still ahead of Siege, I should say. Siege won't like this at all as the two teammates battle it out. Meanwhile Z3 battling with Alan Kay here, and Z3 on a set of super soft tyres against Alan Kay on a set of mediums. We'll see how long it takes for him to get past. as we have the two McLarens still battling away here, and that's going to help Mays just keep his tyres that little bit better, and he is the highest medium tyre runner at the moment, so runs in his favour at the moment. Ollie runs onto the grass though meanwhile, and that's going to compromise his exit as we head down towards turn 12. Is this Siege's chance to try and make it up the inside? No, it isn't. He dives back into the slipstream and doesn't make that move stick. Meanwhile then, Squeezy has gone down the inside of Plaster, up into 11th place he goes, and around turn 13 there he will take that position away from him. And meanwhile then we've got Alan Kay and Z3 here. Z3 on the super soft tyre, so he will have a little bit better grip here. Meanwhile Plaster in the DRS zone of Squeezy Lemon as he'll try and go down the inside here into turn 1. Can he make this move stick? Down the inside it goes, and Squeezy doesn't have a lot to defend with. Plaster will have the oh, that's a bit of contact there behind them, and is that Alan Kay and Z3 coming together? It was. I'm not quite sure how bad that was between them, but they did come together there. A little bit of a scary moment for Alan Kay. Meanwhile then, lap 4 of this Grand Prix, and Blizzard still leads the way from Darren Sinclair, Spike, Technique Gaming and Crazy Legs. This is your sort of battle for the lead at the moment. Blizzard still trying to hold on to the lead of this race from Darren Sinclair, and Darren Sinclair knows that the ball's in his court at the moment. With such a strong lead in a championship, he can afford to take an Alain Prost approach to this race and let Blizzard lock up and make all the mistakes, and maybe he might be able to take advantage of it. Meanwhile then, Technique Gaming is right on the back of Spike UK here as we head around the final corner. Will Technique have a chance of DRS down the main straight, I wonder? And we'll have to see now. Technique opens up that DRS as they fly past us, coming down towards turn 1, and this is Technique's chance to have a go up the inside. He thinks about it but decides to back off there, and might wait here for the second DRS zone, and a little bit of a bad exit coming out of turn 2 there, and not quite what he wanted there. Meanwhile, Blizzard still trying to hang on to this lead of the Grand Prix. Darren Sinclair really putting pressure on Blizzard right now, and this is not what Blizzard wanted in this entire race, to be under pressure. And who will be the first to blink in the pit stops, I do wonder. Technique still on the tail of Spike here, and we'll have to wait and see what Technique can do in this race. Ollie meanwhile is right on the tail of Mays here as they head through this chicane, and you can see here how much pressure Mays is under. But you can see there, medium tyres for Mays, soft tyres for Ollie, Siege on those super soft tyres. You can start to see now that Mays is starting to form a little bit of a train here on those medium tyres, but he's thinking about the long run, of course. We've got Steph here trying to chase down Lighty ahead of him. That's Z3 taking an excursion off track as he rejoins there. Meanwhile then, oh, that's Technique Gaming not getting the greatest exit out of the last turn there as they head towards turn 1. And you can see right ahead of them is that battle for the lead. Now, I wonder here if Spike and Technique will start to work together. They know the leaders are battling. Is this a chance then to try and work together here? Meanwhile, we've got a battle for 8th place really starting to heat up here. Mays, Ollie and Siege all fighting for that 8th place here, and they are really not letting each other get away at all here. This is great stuff here at the Hungarian Grand Prix here in TTL, brought to you by fatalgrips.com. We'll see here how they can really turn up the heat here as, oh no, that's Ollie run wide here, and Siege might get a chance here. No, he doesn't. Thought about it, but couldn't quite make that move work. And Siege coming into the chicane now, not quite doing anything. A little bit of lag here involved in this one as Spike moves ahead of Technique Gaming, and well, it was just a connection on my end. I'm not quite sure why it's behaving like this, but we'll just have to move on and hope that it doesn't get in the way of some great racing today. Siege then still on the back of Ollie here, and you can see the amount of pressure that Mays is under, as well as Ollie here from his teammate Siege. Now, this is an interesting one then. both of them are not affected by team orders, but Siege is currently 5th in the championship. He'll want to try and find his way past his teammate as soon as possible. This could be the chance then, coming down this long straight then with the DRS. Of course, his teammate has DRS as well, so that is not going to help Siege at all as we head into turn 1, and then we've of course got this slight kink of turn 2 as we now head down the hill towards turn 3, and again Siege just can't seem to find that way past. He tries to take the curb on the inside there. That can unsettle the car if you're not careful. And well, at the moment here, looks like Mays is still holding on to 8th place right now. Meanwhile then, the battle for the lead then. Darren Sinclair seems to have dropped off just a slight, and well, he has dropped off, but still there though, and still trying to put some pressure on Blizzard then. But maybe he's realised he's got to save his tyres for a little bit. Technic Gaming then with Spike as well, as Technic Gaming up in 4th place. A little bit wide there onto the AstroTurf, but shouldn't affect his tyre wear too much. It would affect his time though, and Siege is really getting annoyed now. He wants to find a way past, and if we have a look at some details then we can have a look at the biggest winners and losers. Well, the biggest winner, we're riding on board with him now, up 7 places from his starting position. Siege here is the biggest winner. The biggest loser, I'm afraid to say, is Weed Nation, down 12 places, caught up in turn 1 incidents, has put him down into 17th, but a good battle here with Pazels might change that then, as he looks to try and move his way up the field then to try and regain some hope here, and to try and put some points on the board as well. Well, here is Lighty and Steph. Darren Sinclair with a 3-second time penalty. That's going to add up towards the end of the race, and there's Lighty with 1. You'll feel now coming into turn 5 that is a really easy place to cut the corner, even if you don't mean to. And we'll see here plenty more corner cutting penalties, that's for sure then. Lighty under pressure from Steph here, both on the soft tyres. And remember, let's see where Steph started. He is up 6 places from his starting position. So Lighty qualified on these soft tyres, and Steph didn't. And that's the difference here. Meanwhile, we're going to try and jump up towards the lead battle. This is Blizzard here. He must have made a mistake, because Darren Sinclair is right on his tail now. And we might see a lead change here down the start-finish straight, but will we? Blizzard instantly tries to go defensive. They're running side by side now. Darren Sinclair and Blizzard, they're almost touching down the start-finish straight. Blizzard then trying to take the inside line. Darren Sinclair, I should say, tries the cutback, but it doesn't quite work how Darren Sinclair wanted. And will he try and move down the inside into turn 3? Blizzard does give him the room, then tries to close the door. Blizzard hangs on. And he must have made that mistake coming into turn 13, because now Darren Sinclair is right on his tail. Look at this now, the amount of pressure Sinclair's putting Blizzard under. This is incredible stuff. Meanwhile then, Spike as well is still under threat from Technique Gaming at this moment in time. And it'll be interesting to see coming towards the first pit stops then. Is this Technique Gaming then putting a little bit of pressure on Spike coming into the chicane? And look at this now, surely not down the inside. No, he doesn't. Thinks again about it. Not an overtaking place through this middle sector at least, and you can see the lag in its entirety there, as it seemed like Technic Gaming took a little bit of a slide through that section, but he didn't. And we'll have to wait and see what happens between those two, and whether who blinks first basically in the round of pit stops, as we still have Maze, Ollie and Siege all running together at the moment. And meanwhile, this is an interesting one. This is Lighty and Steph have caught up to the back of Crazy here. And Crazy here, maybe his tyres are starting to go off, because look at this now. Lighty and Steph have caught him up. And this looks like a good opportunity for Lighty to try something. Is he going to try a move down the inside into turn 1? He thought about it, backed out of it though. And Crazy Legs doesn't get a good exit coming out of turn 2 there. And again, Lighty will try down the inside into turn 3. Very unorthodox, but has he got the move done? Yes, he has. Lighty is up into 5th place there. Steph tried to go around the outside, but Crazy shut the door. And Lighty then moves up into 5th place. Crazy down to 6th, and now it's Steph's turn to try and find his way past. And he tries up the inside, going up the hill now into turn 6, but no dice. And Crazy holds on for just a little bit longer onto that 6th place. Crazy move there from Lighty, but it worked, and he is up into 5th place. Now can try move, or try to catch Technique Gaming at least. Speaking of which, Technique Gaming is all over the gearbox of Spike here. Spike doing well under pressure as we head towards turn 12 there. My apologies, I just have to remember corner numbers. Spike then still trying to put up a good fight then, heading now through turn 14, that final corner, and it's all about the traction coming out of turn 14. Of course, Technic Gaming will have the DRS then right in the slipstream of Spike here. Crazy Legs comes into the pits and sort of confirms about the tyre where Technic Gaming wants to have a move down the inside into turn 1. Spike tried to cut him off, didn't work though, and Spike having to run wide. They're going to be side by side now, coming down towards turn 3, but Technic Gaming has taken 3rd place. Spike tries to move down the inside into turn 3. Has he got that move done? Well, Technic Gaming is going to have the inside coming into turn 4. And that is a great move in the end. Great battling from these two. Spike and Technique wanted to go side by side into turn 5. Wasn't going to make it happen. But then Technique Gaming runs a little bit wide onto the curb there. And that's going to open up an opportunity for Spike here to try and have a go and try and get this position back. He did try it. But Technique Gaming for now has that last podium spot. Spike is not going to give up. Here he goes now up the inside. Look at this. They're running side by side through this X section. And that is not ideal at all for either driver's tyre wear. And this is bringing Lighty into their battle as well. But Technique Gaming holds on for now, and coming down towards turn 12, Technique Gaming takes 3rd place in this race. The first round of pit stops seem to be going now, and Darren Sinclair has come in, and he's going to try the undercut here. Now, will he put on a set of soft tyres or a set of medium tyres? Coming into his box now as Technic Gaming thinks the same as well. Maybe to undercut his rival here on track. And Darren Sinclair then in the pits. On go a set of medium tyres for Darren Sinclair. So he is going to the end of the race on these tyres. We'll have to see how Blizzard reacts here. That's also Technic Gaming into the pits as well. And where do they rejoin in terms of Crazy Legs then? Crazy is coming down the pit straight now, and Technic Gaming looks like he's going to rejoin in front of the Season 7 champion. Darren Sinclair then rejoins in 8th place and can do a job now of trying to work his way through this battle, and that is probably the worst place he could have rejoined after his pit stop, is this battle here. And these three have already proven that they just cannot find a way past each other. Maybe Darren Sinclair on newer tyres and fresher tyres maybe can try and find that way past. Meanwhile then, Siege has found a way past his teammate, trying to put pressure on Mays here, and you can already see Darren Sinclair putting pressure on Ollie here as they head through this S section. And again, this is a disaster for Darren Sinclair because this is costing him time. This plays into the hands of Blizzard then, who is coming around the final corner, and he stays out. Now, is that such a good idea with Darren Sinclair caught in traffic? Well, he might have we might try and extend his stint for as long as Darren Sinclair is caught in traffic, and maybe try and put on a set of soft tyres towards the end of this race then. As we see that both McLarens stay out then, and Spike is into the pits as well. In he comes, and this will be a set of medium tyres. Is it? It isn't. It is indeed. It then flicks over. So we see here Darren Sinclair on Ollie here, and before the turn 1 there, he's got to move past, and Siege there moves up the inside of Mays, and Siege at long last has found a way past Mays. But how shot are his tyres now? As Darren Sinclair now on the back of Mays, and you can see here how much the championship leader is putting pressure on other drivers here. Obviously they're under no obligation to let him pass, but they might think not to battle him too hard as they're not in his race. Darren Sinclair then, is he going to try and move? No, Mays closes the door there as they head through turn 6 there towards turn 7 and turn 8. Not really an overtaking section this one, but you can see Siege isn't really getting away from Mays as much as he'd like, and that may be due to the tyre wear around this circuit then. So Darren Sinclair is trying to find his way through, trying to find his way past Mays at the moment. But again, through this X section, it's not very easy to do then. Heading towards turn 12, this could be an ideal chance for Darren Sinclair then. Heading down towards turn 12, and he takes that inside line then. Mays is pushed wide a little bit. Not much room for him there. And Darren Sinclair actually lets him back through there. Well, he let him back through, and then, he let Ollie through. I'm not entirely sure what's happening. All I know is that Darren Sinclair there didn't feel his move on Mays was a fair one. Here comes Blizzard then out of the pit exit, and where will he rejoin? There's Siege there, and there's Darren Sinclair. Has Siege managed to find a way past? Blizzard and Siege going to be battling now towards turn 3. And it's a very awkward camera angle, that one. But look at that then. Blizzard has rejoined. Cars ahead of Darren Sinclair. Darren Sinclair has found a way past Mays fairly this time. He's stayed ahead. Now he's going to try and get past Siege here. And now, this is a great battle then, because Blizzard has found his way past Siege. Very easily there, it has to be said. But Darren Sinclair is not going to find that same move as easy. Even if Siege is on worn super soft tyres here, he is still... I think Siege is trying to do a one-stop here, but he's going to put on a set of soft tyres towards the end of the race. I think that's what's going to happen here. And we head through this S section now, as we see Siege here trying to hold on to position for dear life. That puts Steph, by the way, into the lead of this race, but we are expecting his stop anytime soon. Light E is not going to make this easy for Steph then, and... you can see then Blizzard is around about 6 seconds back from Steph, the race leader, and that's how quick these guys are around the circuit. Meanwhile then Siege comes into the pits, 15 laps on those super soft tyres. A mega job from Siege then as he heads into the pit lane. And will a set of soft tyres go on or a set of mediums? That's a difficult question. Looks like softs are ready, but they can change. And yes, it is a set of soft tyres. So Siege then trying to go a little bit more aggressive in his strategy, looking to make a set of soft tyres go towards the end of this race. So Light E has retired. What happened to Light E? He's crashed. He's in the barrier. Coming out of turn, I think that's turn 5 or turn 4 even. Light E, running second in this race, has crashed out. Unbelievable. He must have caught the curb there on the left hand side on the exit of turn 4, and it's just sent him straight to the scene of the accident. Well, that is one German Sauber out of this race then. It leaves Steph in the lead of the race under zero pressure, I would say. But Mays here is that's not like him at all for Ollie. Ollie's putting him under a serious amount of pressure here, but Mays is holding his own out there on those medium tyres, and of course the longer he can make those medium tyres last, the more chance he'll have of going onto a set of super soft tyres. Meanwhile then, the Red Bull of Plaster and the McLaren of Siege are doing battle here. Plaster hasn't stopped yet on those medium tyres. Siege here is looking for a way through, and Plaster there running a little bit wide on the exit there. And of course rain is forecast for the end of the race, so maybe that could be an idea for Siege here. He might be thinking, there's rain towards the end of this race, if I can keep these tyres in good nick, I can get into the end of the race, maybe switch onto a set of intermediates, and I'll be quicker than the guys running at the front. So then, Ollie right on the back of Mays here. Mays maybe thinking the same thing. He's got those medium tyres on. There is rain forecast, so maybe he's thinking to try and take those medium tyres towards the end of the race and then switch onto a set of intermediate tyres. Well, Blizzard and Darren Sinclair are past Mays now, so for them it's not much of a problem. But for someone like Ollie and Technique, exactly like Ollie, if he can't get past Mays here, he might be struggling towards the end of this race, especially when there's rain on the way. Here comes Technique Gaming, who wants to try and move on Siege then. Down the inside he goes, backs out of the move though. Very, very close indeed, but he backs out of it, coming down towards turn 12, trying to just put a little bit of pressure on Siege here at the moment. And race leader Steph into the pits then to change on what will look like to be another set of softs maybe, or it could be a set of mediums towards the end of the race. Maybe Steph wasn't confident on his tyre wear in this race. We'll have to wait and see though what tyres are ready. Looks like medium tyres are ready from the Renault Clio, I should say. Ongo a set of, well, he comes out of the pit lane, runs over into his entire crew there, but a set of medium tyres do go on. Here comes Technique Gaming right on Ollie there, and well, he is trying to find that way past right now, coming down towards turn 3. And not much doing right now for Technique Gaming, just trying to put some pressure on Ollie right now, and he still hasn't found that way past at the moment. As we head through now towards turn 6, And May still holding his own out there. Oh, Technic Gaming hit the curb there. And that's going to invite Spike then to try and find a way past. But as tempting as the invitation is, he can't quite take it. Technic Gaming locks up going into the chicane there. And can't quite take advantage because of the narrow nature of the track here. He just can't take advantage of Technic's mistake there. But that will put Technic under a little bit of pressure for maybe a couple more corners. He'll be on edge here for Spike then, heading now down towards turn 12. And I wonder when this rain is going to come, if it comes at all, of course. Just because there's rain on the horizon doesn't mean that the drivers are going to set or go onto some intermediate tyres. We are expecting light rain towards the end of this race. And here comes that looks like Technic Gaming looking to pull alongside Ollie here with the DRS. Technic Gaming then, and looks like Spike's going to try and have a go as well down the inside. Does he touch Ollie there on the inside? Looks like a little bit of contact maybe happening there, but Spike now trying to go down the inside into turn 3, and Ollie's worn soft tyres just can't quite fight as well as he could before, and Ollie now drops down into 6th place here. Audacious move from Spike there heading into turn 3, but again it's worked, and Spike then moves up into 5th place. No time lost on Technic Gaming then as he makes his way now to try and put some more pressure on Mays here. Mays leading this train here for 3rd place at the moment, but he looks comfortable. He looks very comfortable out there right now, and if the rain comes and it's at the right time, we could see Mays here on the podium. Well, here comes Squeezy Lemon here on the inside of Plaster heading towards this chicane. Not really an overtaking place. Can the cars give each other room? Amazingly, they do. Plaster gives him the room just about there. And Weed Nation and Plaster now doing battle. Weed Nation, this opened up an opportunity for him to try and grab P12 for Ferrari. And the Ferraris here haven't had the greatest season so far, but Weed Nation Crazy are doing their best to try and change their luck here. Meanwhile then, Technic Gaming, is this the move he wanted? Yes it is! Technic Gaming moves up into 3rd place, but locks up going into turn 1. Now that could invite Mays here to try and have a go. Of course he is on worn medium tyres here, and Spike here could have a go down into turn 3 now. Locks up! Mays gives him the room there. And he will have the inside line for turn 4, Mays, so he holds on for dear life right now. But now coming towards turn 5, they're going to be side by side. And Mays here doesn't feel confident, backs out of the move then, and falls to 5th place. And maybe this might be a sign that Mays' mediums might be coming towards the end of their life. Of course, lots of life in those medium tyres to take out of. But he might be running towards the 50% mark, and at which point the grip starts to fall away. Well, a little bit of a break at the moment to tell you that Blizzard... Oh, that's a Force India around. And that looks to be Poe, and it is. And he hits the wall there. And, well, that is Poe retiring from the session then. Well, Blizzard leads the way. Darren Sinclair's 2nd. Technique in 3rd, with Spike right behind him in 4th place. And I wonder here if these two will keep doing battle towards the end of this race. We have 16 laps to go, and you can see there the clouds are starting to form. This could be a little bit dicey towards the end of this race. And of course all the drivers know that rain is on the horizon. They know when it's coming. They know when exactly it's coming. We don't. So this is as much of a surprise to us. In fact, more so to us than the drivers. Their engineers will be telling them how far the rain is away, and that's what would have told them their strategy coming into this race. All we know is the rain is coming towards the end of the race. That's all we know. But the drivers here have adapted their strategy here. So those running on the medium tyres to begin with, drivers like Mays and Crazy here. Sorry, not Crazy. Mays and Plaster, my apologies. Running on the medium tyres to begin with. They want rain late on in the race, but just in time for their medium stop here, as both drivers, Technique and Spike there, do the common thing where, as a driver, the following driver tends to follow the driver in front's line to perfection, and I've fallen victim to that as well. It doesn't actually gain you time. It keeps you the perfect distance away, or if not a little bit further behind. But Spike here will be just trying to focus on the exit here. Does he have DRS here? He does, so he's just about in range here. Mays, meanwhile, is into the pits, and he's had enough on those medium tyres. Maybe he's switching on to a set of softs here. Too early to go on to some super softs, and indeed that's the case. On go a set of soft tyres for Mays then as he makes his way down the pit exit then. Where will he rejoin? Looks like he's got a good gap here. He might be battling Weed Nation as they head towards turn 1 here. This will be an interesting one then. So here comes Mays then coming out of the pits. There's Weed Nation. You can see Mays emerging from the pits then. Mays then coming into turn 1 unchallenged and rejoins in 9th place. Now we can focus on setting some lap times here so that he can catch up to the pack towards the end of this race. And when that rain falls, that's when the race is going to be won or lost here. Blizzard leading by 3.6 from Darren Sinclair, who is in 2nd place. Technique is in 3rd, Spike in 4th place, Ollie is in 5th, Steph in 6th, Crazy Legs in 7th, Siege is running in 8th, Maze in 9th, Weed Nation 10th, Lambo 11th, Plaster 12th, Squeezy is 13th, Alan is 14th, Z3 15th, and Pazels is running in 16th place. Let's have a look then. Spike here, right on the tail of Technique Gaming here. And you can see Technique taking a slightly wider line, heading out of turn 14 here. Meanwhile, though, here's Steph right on the tail of Ollie here. Now, Ollie has been running on those soft tyres since the start of this race. So those soft tyres must be screaming for help right now as Steph moves alongside Ollie and up into 5th place into turn 1. Can he keep the car in check though? Ollie might try and move, but he doesn't, and Steph moves up into 5th place. Let's have a look here at the stops. Yeah, Ollie hasn't stopped. He's been on those soft tyres now for 21 laps. This is his 22nd lap on those soft tyres. That is what you see from running on a set of medium tyres for Ollie then. So maybe he overestimated maybe when the rain would arrive. Maybe he thought a set of soft tyres would get him to the rain period, but as you can see, still bone dry, still a little bit sunny, but those clouds are forming. Rain isn't that far away, I don't think, and Crazy Legs then is the next driver to try and have a go at Ollie. Spike then still battling Technique for the last podium place then. This is going to be a great battle then as we head towards, and we'll have to wait and see what happens then. Meanwhile, Weed Nation is into the points, but he is under pressure from Lambo right now. Here comes Crazy Legs into turn 12 then, fighting Ollie, coming through turn 13 now. And Crazy Legs apparently on a set of mediums. He's on softs though, is he? I don't know. Meanwhile then, Ollie, a little bit of oversteer there as he clips the curb, and Lambo is retired. Lambo has clipped the wall and he's called it a day already. Well then, Ollie then coming into the pits, and it's, well, less sunny. The clouds have formed. It's a case of when those tyres were hit. You could see how bad those soft tyres had grained there. So Ollie then emerges from the pits then, or at least makes his way down the pit lane. And you can see here, this is Siege on Crazy then. Just to confirm, Crazy is running medium tyres. If you see the red wall, that's just a glitch in the game. Crazy is running on a set of medium tyres. Meanwhile then, Spike picks up a 3-second time penalty. That is Siege putting some pressure on Crazy. Crazy doesn't get that move right at all. He doesn't get that corner right at all, and he's given up the place to Siege there. Siege says thank you very much, I'll take P6. Well, Technique here is 3rd place at the moment. Spike here might be falling out of DRS range if he's not careful here, and that's Lambo have. And well, that is interesting from Ollie. Ollie's emerged on a set of super soft tyres, and I'm not sure when that rain is coming, and to try and make some ground on Technique. A little bit of a good strategy there. Meanwhile, Crazy's coming to the pits, and that is why he's been struggling. You could see that damage on the left-hand side of his front wing there. Are the team going to change it? Yes, they are. On go a set of super soft tyres. That's a nightmare for Crazy because it puts him in this limbo now where he's out of sync of all of the other drivers, and away he goes then. So he's out of sync as we head towards the end of the race. And that is going to cost him a lot of time and positions then. Meanwhile then, Ollie and Weed Nation. Ollie has found the way past then. Up into 8th place he goes, now trying to chase down Maze then, which is a similar battle to what he had last time. As we head through then, Squeezy has found a way past Crazy then on the pit exit, but Crazy is not done with that. This time he actually is on a set of super soft tyres. They head towards turn 3. Around the outside, Crazy tries to go. We'll wait for the camera to try and catch up. And Squeezy then holding on to 10th place at the moment. Meanwhile, further down the field, this is Plaster and Z3 then battling over 13th place. Z3 trying to hold the inside line, but that does become the outside line as long as Plaster can stick it on this outside here. He'll have the inside for turn 4, and he does. Makes that move stick then. Plaster up into P13. Blizzard then leading the way as he flies through turn 4 there, up towards turn 5. Darren Sinclair 2.1 behind. Then it's Technique Gaming rounding off the podium right now, but Spike is starting to reel in Technique again in 4th place at the moment. Meanwhile, Crazy here is trying to chase down Squeezy. This is Weed Nation coming into the pits here, and maybe had his limiter on a little bit early there, not quite sure there. As he gets that 5-second stop go for speeding in the pit lane. Well, that's an interesting one because it didn't look like he had full control of his car there. Spike, oh, as we just join in there, running a little bit wide there. 11 laps to go. I'm not too sure. Here comes Blaster then. Meanwhile, on Alan Kay, this is the battle for 12th place. Round the outside, he tries to go into turn 1. Now through the slight kink of turn 2. Has Blaster made the move stick? Yes, he has. And here comes the Williams here of Z3 trying to take advantage of this situation as well. Has he made that move stick? As we ride on board now with them, that's Alan Kay and Z3 coming very respect out there, and Z3 then moves up into 13th place, having placed his car very well there in that situation. He's got Plaster next, but can he catch him on soft tyres here? Lap 26, we have 10 laps of this race to go. Blizzard then still leads the way. Darren Sinclair 2 seconds back. Spike is within distance, DRS range I should say, of Technique here, so that'll help him in the long run then. Crazy on the back of Squeezy Lemon here. Crazy in 10th place. Oh, loses that back end. Oh, can he keep it in check? Just about. Very scary moment there for Crazy then, as well, he loses a bit of time there, maybe about 2 seconds, but well, not the end of the world. He can still make that up on Squeezy then. So then Blizzard rounding the final couple of corners to start lap 27 any moment now. And I wonder when this rain will come. It is forecast, and I know I keep saying it, but it is a crucial part of this race. All the drivers know that there is rain on the forecast, but they don't know when it is. So it'll be interesting to see. It will get to a certain point then where the drivers will have to say that they're going to the end on dry tyres. There is that cut-off point where going onto a set of intermediate tyres actually is, well, costs you more time than just staying out on dry tyres. Now, it is a relatively short pit lane here. Doesn't take too much time. You're looking around about 21 seconds you lose coming through this pit lane. Around about that. Maybe 21 to 23 seconds depending on your approach to the pit lane. So it'll be interesting to see then which drivers stay out on dry tyres and who will come in for a set of intermediates. If the rain hits now, you'll have to assume that people will dive into the pits for intermediates, but fast forward 5 laps, and that may not be the case. Battle here for 3rd place. Technique Gaming and Spike UK battling for 3rd place. Meanwhile then, the battle for 9th place is heating up as well. Here comes Crazy Legs on Squeezy Lemon, and Crazy Legs gets the move done, but did he get a little bit of a tap there, or did he run too wide? As, well, he gets turn 3 there, all wrong, and has to go again. Locks up his tyres there, and that is not the ideal situation for Crazy. He wants to try and keep his tyres towards the end of the race, but of course that lock up here isn't going to help him at all. Here comes Spike then again on Technique. And it just seems to be the case then that Spike can't really reel Technique in. They're about similar pace around the track. Even with DRS, Spike just can't seem to catch Technique at the moment. As it's not the best camera angle coming down towards turn 3 there. It doesn't quite show you what happens through turn 2. And, well, Spike here still trying to put some pressure on Technique no matter what. Darren Sinclair picks up a 3-second time penalty. Again, those add up towards the end of the race. Have a look at Crazy Legs then, as he still tries to try and chase down Squeezy Lemon. And those are drops of rain I'm seeing. The rain has finally arrived. And, well, what does this say to the drivers then? We saw in qualifying how wet the track got in such a short amount of time. Well, this might be a warning for the drivers then. Who will be the first to blink then and go onto a set of intermediate tyres? Of course, it's only just started to rain, so it shouldn't be too bad out there. Drivers shouldn't be suffering so badly. But, well, it'll be interesting then to see which of the leaders blinks then. They'll be constantly on their engineer here, wondering if and when there's a good time to go onto the intermediate tyres. That puts pressure on Blizzard then. As the lead driver, he's under pressure then to make a decision. Darren Sinclair, though, has the power to react. He's 2.7 behind, and maybe that's strategic. Darren Sinclair knows here that Blizzard has to make a decision out in front. Darren Sinclair can react to whatever Blizzard does. So that puts an immense amount of power in Darren Sinclair's hands. Meanwhile, Spike, has he made that move on Technique Gaming? Yes, he has, but he didn't think it was fair, so he's let Technique Gaming back through there. Maybe Spike made a little bit of contact coming into turn 3 there, whatever it was. He wasn't happy with himself with that move, so he's let Technique Gaming back through. Siege then, meanwhile, on a push then. Has his strategy worked? Super soft onto soft tyres. I wonder if this works then. Meanwhile, that is Weed Nation there. A little bit of contact maybe between him and Z3 there. So they go side by side heading into turn 13. And yeah, that has been contact made. Weed Nation into the wall. Now, what does he decide to do here? This could be a chance for him to go onto a set of intermediate tyres. But of course he will have to serve his 5-second stop go. Meanwhile then, the leaders are into the pits. DRS disabled. This is the time to come in for intermediate tyres then. In comes the race leader, Blizzard, as well as Darren Sinclair. And Blizzard held in the pits there. What about Darren Sinclair? There goes Toro Rosso there. Darren Sinclair as well held in the pits then. So, manic scenes in the pit lane then with 6 laps to go then. Blizzard will rejoin in the lead of this race, and again you saw how quick that was there. Technique, Spike and Steph all into the pits then as Spike gets away then. What about Technique? Oh, he had a 5-second stop go. That could be costly then for Technique Gaming in the battle for the podium. Away he goes then. And we see a whole host of drivers into the pits then. Siege into the pits as well. Ongo a set of intermediate tyres. And that strategy has really helped him there. Yellow flag sector 3. And a little bit of lag there. But we have a load of drivers struggling then. So Weed Nation then maybe was the first driver to come in with a set of intermediates. And that could help him in the long run then. So I wonder here then. Steph now has been jumped by Siege in the pit lane. And yellow flags sector 2, and is that someone was in the wall there? Not quite sure who though. But Squeezy Lemon looks like he's jumped a load of people in the pit lane there. Ollie into the pits as well, as he has to change a front wing. So there's only a couple of drivers out on dry tyres right now, and they're coming into the pits now. Plaster and Z3. And I wonder if that's going to help Weed Nation here, because he's coming around the final few corners. This could put him up into the points, you know. There goes Ollie then, so no chance of points then. Z3 into the pits. And I thought for a minute there he went onto a set of intermediate tyres. No dice though. Weed Nation coming around the final corner. So I don't think he's going to make time on Z3 or Plaster here. But there we go. Such is the roll of the dice then. We have 5 laps of this race to go then. And Alan Kay here has made up a series of positions coming into turn 1, and Weed Nation there has rejoined right behind Z3, so maybe that visit to the pit lane wasn't such a problem there for Weed Nation in the end. Then we have yellow flags. That is Pazos there, who's lost a front wing, and well, He has hit the wall there. That is coming through, I believe that's turn 12. Maybe drop the back end. And he is deciding to retire from the session then. Pazels becomes the 6th retirement in this race. So Blizzard then leading the way. 2.9 separates him and Darren Sinclair. And that gap is only increasing as well. So they just have to be a little bit cautious here around this circuit. Obviously dry setups on. And Spike here in 3rd place. His battle with Technique Gaming may have come to an end here. I'll have to see how that gap increases. He has got himself a 3-second time penalty though. And you can see how much the drivers are struggling around here. Obviously, with the dry setups on, they are not prepared for these wet weather conditions, so these cars are really struggling. Z3 meanwhile is under pressure here from Weed Nation, but also wants to attack Alan Kay, and this battle for 12th place could get a little bit tasty right now. Oh, and Z3's clipped the wall. Z3 clipped the wall there and was very lucky to come away with no damage whatsoever. Well, that opens up then. Weed Nation then lightly has left the session. He had retired anyway. So Weed Nation then trying to chase down Alan Kay for position. Got to watch out for Crazy Legs and Squeezy Lemon then. These two have been battling pretty much all race as we've headed through. And, well, could be a little bit of a battle between those two then for 8th place. Blizzard then heading around turn number 6 as he heads towards that chicane of turn 7 and turn 8. I'll have to see here with 4 laps to go. How that will develop. And Darren Sinclair picks himself up a 3-second time penalty, which of course will come back to haunt him. Here comes Alan Kay then and Weed Nation coming through that chicane there, and you can see here how badly the drivers are struggling around here. They're just trying to tiptoe their way around, but also they want to try and get in front of the car ahead. That's exactly what Weed Nation is trying to do here. Look at that back end there. Car control from Weed Nation is really good right now, trying to chase down Alan Kay, maybe for 12th place, but I'll tell you what, it'll be a great drive for him, great recovery drive, especially after that turn 1 incident. Meanwhile, Crazy Legs is starting to close in on Squeezy Lemon here, and this is the battle for 8th place. And Crazy Legs here, can he try and find a way through? Squeezy Lemon drifting his way through turn number 4 there, as they head up the hill towards turn 5. Season 7 champion, what can he do then? Can he grab 8th place and a couple of points for Ferrari this season? Meanwhile then, Weed Nation is still trying to do his best to try and find a way past Alan Kay, and we'll have to see how that battle develops as we head towards the end of the race then. But with Crazy Legs then, you can see Squeezy is not having fun in these conditions I should say. And, well, you can see how much Crazy is closing in on him. This could be a good battle towards the end of this race then, if not before, as Blizzard will cross that line anytime now to start the penultimate lap of this race. But you can see here, Crazy is coping with these conditions a lot better than Squeezy is. And Squeezy coming around the final corner there, just trying to tiptoe his way around. But now Crazy will be in the slipstream of Squeezy Lemon then as they head down towards turn 1. And Crazy has time on his side. How much time is on his side, I'm not too sure. But the more pressure he puts on Squeezy now, the better. He is closing in, and time is on his side right now. Here comes Blizzard then to start the penultimate lap of this race then in the lead. Darren Sinclair is second. Spike then is at 25.8 behind the race leader Blizzard then. So here we are then again on board with Squeezy and Crazy Legs then, as we see here. This is a battle emerging here again between Alan Kay and Weed Nation. It is a battle for 12th place, and right now Weed Nation just can't seem to try and find a way past. Meanwhile then Crazy struggling through the chicane there, and he's lost a lot of time then. A lot of time. That gap was down to half a second. It's now up to 1.3. So he's lost a huge amount of time there right now. But he will keep battling, of course he will. And a little bit of a loss of back end there as he tries to keep the car in check. Weed Nation still trying to put some pressure on Alan Kay here, and using those curbs is a risky tactic, especially in these wet conditions, but it might be a move that pays off, especially if you've got the car that can cope with the rain on the curbs there. Well, Blizzard here heading down towards turn 12 then, and then through these sweeping corners of turn 13 and turn 14 here, as Darren Sinclair hasn't really proved to be a bit of a threat here. Obviously with time penalties, I'm not sure how many Blizzard has. Darren Sinclair might have a couple, but Blizzard will head around the final corner then. He's got to keep the car on the island for one more lap here, and Darren Sinclair 2.7 right now behind. So Blizzard then starts the final lap of this Hungarian Grand Prix. Meanwhile then, is that Weed Nation? Has he found his way past Alan Kay? Yes, he has. And as he heads on to the final lap now, he has found that way past, and up in the 12th place he goes. He might have a try at Plaster then. 1.6 seconds in a lap is a little bit of a stretch though. Might have to see how that goes. Meanwhile then, Siege and Technique. Well, this is a battle that has been emerging under my nose here. So Siege here, let's have a look at the gap between them. It's a second right now, but Technique has been struggling in these conditions. You can see he's fallen away from Spike here. So the battle between these two might be hotting up here. Meanwhile, Blizzard then in the lead of this race, still taking those curbs as if it's still a dry track. Incredible bravery here. But as we head through this S section for the final time today, now heading down the hill towards turn 12. Just have an eye on Siege and Technique Gaming here as we head onto this final lap. And you can see here Siege is closing and closing fast. Meanwhile though, we're going to stick on board with Blizzard then as he rounds the final few corners, rounding turn 13 here and approaching the final corner, turn 14. Get this traction zone right for the last time then. Blizzard comes around the final corner. He'll cross the line in the lead of the race and he'll take the win here in Hungary. Can Darren Sinclair's penalties provide anything? No, he had much more penalties than Blizzard. So Blizzard here wins in Hungary. Let's have a look at Spike then as he rounds turn 13. He had a good battle with Technique Gaming up until this crossover point. But Spike here coming around the final corner then heads towards the line, and Spike here is going to grab the final place on that podium. I think Technique Gaming here is going to hold on unless Siege can do anything about it, unless Technique Gaming has any penalties here, and he did. Technique Gaming finishes in 5th. That promotes Siege up into 4th place here. And that's a great race from him considering where he started. Steph crosses the line in 6th place here. Mays heading around the final corner. He's going to finish in 7th place. The field a little bit spread out now as we head towards the back end of the field. Mays then finishing in 7th place. Squeezy heading around the final couple of corners then. Looked to be a battle emerging between him and Crazy Legs, but Crazy has dropped off significantly there. So Squeezy then is going to come home in 8th place here. And Crazy is going to come home in 9th place with all those penalties. And that's going to leave Ollie to grab the final point of the Hungarian Grand Prix. But your race winner here for the Hungarian Grand Prix is Blizzard. So then, Blizzard cuts that lead down at the lead of the championship from Darren Sinclair then, and Spike getting onto the podium. How's that for coverage, Spike? So your official, unofficial results. Blizzard takes the race win. Darren Sinclair in 2nd. That's Spike in 3rd. Siege in 4th. Technique 5th. Steph in 6th. Mays in 7th. Squeezy 8th. Crazy Legs in 9th. Ollie 10th. Plaster 11th. That's Renault there in 12th. Weed Nation 13th. Z3 14th. And a load of... well, a load of real drivers apparently who were in this race. So that was the Hungarian Grand Prix then, and if you see, they're starting from 17th place on the grid in that treacherous qualifying today. Well, we'll have to see now what the table is like then. Well, the gap at the top has come down. It was, I believe that is, it was 44 points at the start of this race, the gap at the top. So that has come down now to 37 points. So still a big gap for Blizzard to catch, but you know, he's put in the performance today. He did what he needed to do, and he'll be hoping for more of the same for the rest of the season. So we had some good battling there all the way through the field, actually. Maybe not as much action as I thought was going to happen in the intermediate stint, but with all the drivers struggling out there, it's fair to see why when they're all on dry setups then. So we shall have to see if any of the drivers want to join us for the interviews. We'll have to have a look and see. Of course, the screen goes blue, and we'll have to see. Someone's instantly volunteered to join the party for interviews, so we will get on that right now, and I'll invite as many people as possible. I wonder, guys, anyone who's still watching, comment below your moment of the race. It'd be interesting to see who it was, at least of the coverage. That is, we'll have to see. What happened. See if I forgot anything. Normally happens, to be fair. So then, I have put out interviews.
Hello.
Oh, this is Spike. Hello, Spike.
That's a new one.
Yeah, well, Spike joined first, Blizzard, so there you go. Right then, Spike.
Hello.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm okay. How about you?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. So, podium in Hungary. Were you expecting that going into it?
Yes. Going into it? Possibly. I always hope for a good result.
Absolutely, and you had a good battle out there with Technique Gaming for almost the entire race. It must have kept you on your toes.
Yeah, it was good fun. It was good, clean racing.
So, obviously you knew the rain was coming, but not exactly when. How did that affect your strategy going into it?
Not a lot. Just did the one stop, pretty much like everyone else, and just waited for the rain. Knew it was coming, but I figured it wouldn't be until the last 3 or 4 laps, so it's easy better just to go for the mediums, which give you decent lap times.
And how tough was it out there towards the end of the race then with that rain?
My car was alright actually. Little bit of oversteer, but that's what you want in the wet. So yeah, it wasn't too bad. I was pulling away from Technique at the end, which I needed to do because I have penalties, but then he had penalties as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got to 9 seconds.
Hey, good stuff. So heading towards Belgium then, what do you think your chances are then?
It's a circuit I really like, but I'm not particularly quick at it, which is rather disappointing. But yeah, there you go. That's the way it is. We'll see how it goes.
So what would be a good result in your opinion then for Belgium?
Another podium would be nice. Race win would be nice, but I think Mr. Blizzard would have something to say about that.
Oh yeah. So well, thanks for speaking to us, Spike. Have a good rest of the evening then, and we'll see you in Belgium.
Will do.
Moving on then, Blizzard. a race win then, cut down the lead now to I think it's 37 points from what it was before. How does this win give you confidence heading towards the second half?
It gives me confidence, definitely, because I thought Darren would probably win this one because I don't like this track. So, and it does help, you know. Every win helps.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you notice that maybe Darren was taking it a little bit easy? Is it sort of a Senna Prost situation where he's letting you have wins, or do you think you were just quicker out there today?
It wasn't that really. It was just because he was trying to pass me. It was more or less me saving the tyres, holding him up because it's hard to pass. Which is base. I'm saying that because the top three weren't passed at all in that entire race, and we stayed in the exact same positions from quali. Me first, Darren second, Spike third. We all started there.
Yeah.
We all finished there.
So how tough was it then when it got to the rain then? Obviously you're the first leading car out on track. Is there pressure on you to get that decision absolutely spot on?
The worst thing was I had to tell my teammate to not pit because I was about to lap him. So if he pitted, I wouldn't have had the lead. Which I felt sorry. But
Yeah. What you did there was send your teammate around on slick tyres on a wet track. all in the sake of the championship, hey Blizzard?
I'm not Michael Schumacher, okay? I'm not that bad.
So moving on to Belgium then, the next race. Are you confident?
Yeah, it's more of a balanced track. Not wheel related, not pad related. Other than bus stops for some reason I can't get it the same. But I don't like it really. But I'm still quick around it, so.
That's always good then. Even if you don't like it, you're still quick, eh? So with the gap now down to 37 points, question I got to ask you is, can you do it?
Well, I did last season, I'll do it again.
Oh, that's a bit of confidence there. Anyway,
say the exact same thing.
Well, thanks for talking to us, Blizzard, and we will see you in Belgium then.
Or will you?
I'm guessing we will. Right, who was next? Got to see now. Weed Nation. Right then, Weed Nation, talk us through turn one, what happened there?
Turn one, just messed it up really, completely. Into turn two then, I think I went back into the back crazy, got a bit of wing damage. Going into turn 4 and 5 then my wheel decides to disconnect, so that was a disaster.
Yeah, saw you go into ghost mode. I knew something was up there.
Yeah, I was frantic trying to switch the cables around because one of my USBs is a bit dodgy.
All in all then, you had a bit of a dramatic race for sure. Are you happy with today's result?
No, because I finished 4th in qualifying. I was hoping to at least try and stay in the top 5 anyway at least, but I knew that there was always faster drivers behind me. But I would have given it a good go, but unfortunately a few errors along the way.
And well, your battle there with Alan towards the end of the race looked a bit tasty there.
Yeah. You seen him going wide there on the second last corner, so I thought, right, that's my opportunity. But by that time I picked up a time penalty anyway, so he jumped me on the line.
So in terms of the next race then, what's your feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I like Belgium, so hopefully I should do good around that track. Hopefully I'll get a good qualifying and stay there really.
And what's your what would be a good result for you heading into Belgium?
A good result? I'd say anywhere in top 5 should be a good result for me, hopefully. That's what I'm going to push for.
It's noticeable that Ferrari haven't had the best season so far. Are you confident going into the second half of the season you two can change that?
Yeah, I'm hoping so. I'm hoping that me and Crazy can start pushing it and get up there, start earning some decent points.
Is it luck that's affecting you two, or is it something else?
I think there is a bit of luck on the side, yeah, but you know, whenever I get a bit of luck and finish qualifying good, it just doesn't happen in the race. I just seem to panic a little bit too much, I think.
And in terms of constructors then, for Ferrari, where's a realistic finishing position for you guys?
I'm not too sure, to be honest.
Before
Top 3 would be nice.
you got a lot of work to do then, I'm afraid.
I know, yeah, I know.
Well then, Weed, thanks for joining us, and
No
we will see you in Belgium.
Yes, you will.
No worries. Take care of yourself. Right then, so joining us now is Z3. Z3, how are you?
Not too bad.
So talk us through that race then, buddy.
The race start was abysmal because I got stuck behind the Gort. I was the car behind him and he had his brake pedal stuck, if I read it correctly. So fell a long way behind and then my controller disconnected, so then I suddenly was at the back.
And well, talk us through frustrations then. Was it just a case of getting to the end, maybe scoring a point?
It was until the rain came. Then I knew I wouldn't get points anymore after the pit stops.
So moving on to Belgium then, what's your thinking on that? Are you confident?
Not really sure. I like Belgium, but I have that one corner Puan who is kinda 50-50 on out or not.
So do you lift going through there? Or is it flat out?
I lift a little.
Ah, okay.
Not much, but a little.
And what would be?
Flat, boy. Who's flat?
And
That's the times I lose it.
yeah. Well, what would be a good result then for you coming into Belgium?
Belgium, collecting points.
Is that your goal for the remainder of the season? Just get some points on the board.
Right now, yeah.
Yeah.
If I draw like I know I can drive, I would have liked to get higher up, but as it's going right now, points is what I'm aiming for.
Yeah, good stuff. Does that give you confidence going into the second half of the season then?
Yeah, a little. The race today wasn't too bad, but with that abysmal start and going another lap to let Blizzard pit first, kind of ruined the points chances. So, but the race wasn't that bad actually.
Can I just say on that Z3, you were far too kind to him.
Nah, Matthew is a good guy.
Well then, well thank you for talking to us, D3, and we will see you in Belgium.
You will.
Great stuff. I think in terms of interviews, that's about it. Yeah, I think that is it. Not too bad, actually. Right then.
It's good.
Yeah. Well
Always
then.
nice being in there.
Absolutely. Well, I will have to say thank you guys for joining us. I'll wrap this up now, and I will see you all in Belgium.
Yeah, bye.
Oh, we have Steph. Before we go, we do have Steph.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was
just about to end the stream there, Steph. Oh, that was a bit lucky. All right then, Steph. Was it P6 in that race? Talk us through it.
P6, yeah, it's, qualifying wise, didn't have the best run, could have got higher up. The race started in P13, literally had the good start, needed it on the soft tyres, had a brilliant grip, just literally car felt really pacey and going. And just literally just picked my battles when I needed to. I was aiming for like at least top 5, just missed out unfortunately when the rain came in the speed you took me. But I had 6 seconds of weapon penalties overall, just aiming for points. But I did some good overtakes though, so I can't go wrong with that.
Well, you seem to be on a good run of form recently. Can you carry that towards Belgium?
Try and see what happens, you know. Belgium's not a good track I like. See how I get on. Again, aiming for points really. Depends on the weather, of course. So, all good and dandy.
In terms of like a finishing position, where would you say is a good place for you?
Well, my primary like objective, it's just literally like going for points. As long as it's something, anything within like top 7 upwards, in order to consider myself as a good position.
Yeah. In terms of constructors, I'm not sure about this race, but before this race, Renault were 32 points behind Ferrari.
Yep.
Is that something you're looking to rectify in the second half of this season?
See how me and Alan get on. Obviously, Alan didn't have a good race this time around, I think. I think he just finished outside the points. So just literally just doing everything I can just to minimise the gap to Ferrari. Again, they've got strong drivers like Weed and Crazy, so some tracks they're good at compared to me, but see how it all goes. You know, anything can happen in a race, and it generally does.
And in terms of a constructor's finishing position then, realistically, what's your target now?
Our main target is just literally just get as much points as possible and try bridge the gap on Toro Rosso.
Oh, great stuff.
Literally then go from there.
Well then, well thank you for talking to us, Steph, and we will see you in Belgium.
Will do. We'll see you in Belgium. Take it easy all.
Alright, take care of yourself, Steph. See you later.
See you later on. Take care.
Is the stream ending now?
The stream is ending now, don't worry. It'll all be over soon, it'll be fine. Right then, that does mean that the stream is ending now, so our next round is Belgium on Thursday. Around about 5 to 8 start time on the stream. Hope you can join us for then. Until Spa-Francorchamps then, I've been Kieran McGinley. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you next time.